My name is Emily Carter. One afternoon, my bank told me I owed $6,300. The problem was simple. My mother was. If something like this has happened to you, share your story in the comments. The card stopped working before lunch. At first, it was small things. A subscription renewal failed. My phone buzzed with a short alert from the bank, the kind people usually ignore. When I tried to rerun the payment, the app spun, then showed a red message. Transaction declined. A few minutes later, the call came. "Hi, this is the fraud prevention team calling about your credit card." The woman on the line read numbers without pausing. $6,300. Multiple charges. Same week. Same city. I asked her to repeat the locations. She did. San Diego, spa, boutique, restaurant. "That's not me," I said. There was no reaction, just typing. "Do you recognize any of these merchants?" "No." Another pause, more typing. "We'll need to place a temporary lock on the account." By the time the call ended, the card was useless. The app confirmed it with a gray banner that said, "Access restricted, pending review." Under it, an automatic note thanked me for reporting suspicious activity. It added that this step helped protect my financial health. That line stayed on the screen longer than it needed to. The rest of the afternoon turned into damage control. A recurring payment for software I used at work failed. I switched it to a backup card and emailed accounting at the logistics firm where I worked. The message was short. Temporary banking issue. Resolved soon. My manager stopped by my desk an hour later. "Accounting flagged a decline tied to you," he said. "Anything I should know?" "It's being reviewed," I told him. He nodded and moved on. No follow-up. No advice. Just the expectation that it wouldn't spill into deadlines. My phone kept lighting up after that. A cousin asking if something was wrong. An aunt sending a question mark. One message suggested I talk to my mother before things got formal. Another said banks always overreact. No one asked what the charges were. An email from the bank arrived before dinner. It introduced Marcus Hill, fraud analyst. His message listed dates and asked where I had been during each transaction window. Airport records, work logs, anything that placed me elsewhere. There was no greeting beyond my name. No reassurance. Just a checklist. I replied with timestamps and attached a calendar export from work. The response came back fast. Confirmation received. Next steps pending. At the bottom of the email, a system footer appeared again, thanking me for vigilance and reminding me that financial responsibility was a shared effort. That wording felt carefully chosen. Neutral. Polite. Almost generous. Later that night, the phone rang again. "This is Marcus," the voice said, calm, measured. "We'll need to verify the person who made the purchases." "How?" I asked.
"A call," he said, "with both parties present."
I looked at the list of charges once more. The brands stood out. None of them matched my life. All of them matched a city where my mother lived. "When?" I asked. He gave a time for the next day. After the call ended, another message arrived from the system. "Appointment scheduled. Please be available. Thank you for helping us maintain secure services for all customers." The lock on the card reached further than expected. A streaming service failed first, then a software license tied to work. Notifications stacked without urgency, each one neutral, each one refusing to move forward. I rerouted payments to a backup card, updated account numbers, and sent a brief note to accounting. No explanations. Just enough to keep things running.
An automated reply came back from payroll confirming the update and reminding employees to report financial changes promptly. It ended with a smiley face. By mid-morning, my manager stopped at my desk.
He didn't sit.
"Accounting flagged a decline connected to your name," he said. "It's a bank review," I replied. "Temporary." He glanced at the screen, then at the hallway. "Let me know if it affects timelines." That was it. No curiosity. No follow-up. Work moved on, which made everything else feel louder by contrast. My phone didn't stop. A cousin texted asking if something had gone wrong with my account. An aunt suggested banks made mistakes all the time. Another message said it would be better to handle things privately before they escalated. One line showed up twice from different people. "Maybe talk to your mom first." No one asked what I needed. Everyone had advice ready. An email arrived from Marcus Hill before lunch. It listed dates and times in bullet points and asked for confirmation of my location during each transaction window. The tone stayed neutral, almost polite, like a survey request. I replied with work schedules and travel receipts.
A calendar export went out with the email. 10 minutes later, a confirmation arrived. "Thank you for the information provided. This helps us proceed efficiently." Below that sat another line from the system, thanking me for protecting my financial health and reminding me that vigilance supported the safety of all customers. The wording stayed consistent, so did the font. Between calls, a message from my mother came through. "Are you having trouble with your card?" No punctuation, no explanation for how she knew. I didn't answer. Another email followed from Marcus, asking for clarification on a time gap. He called shortly after, voice steady, pace controlled. "Just verifying," he said. "Were you at work between 4 and 6 on Tuesday?" "Yes." "Any travel that day?" "No." "Thank you." That was the entire exchange. No sympathy, no commentary. The call ended as cleanly as it began. The afternoon turned into a series of small adjustments. Updating autopay here,
Canceling a subscription there.
each task took a minute. Together, they filled hours. Messages from family grew more pointed. This could get messy. She didn't mean anything by it. You know how she is. A relative I rarely spoke to called and left a voicemail suggesting forgiveness worked better than paperwork. The message ended with a reminder that families stuck together when outsiders got involved. Outsiders, apparently, included banks. Marcus emailed again with a formal notice outlining next steps. The bank would need to speak directly with the individual who made the purchases. Verification required participation from both parties. No room for interpretation. I forwarded the message to a folder labeled Banking. Then I texted my mother. "We need to talk." She called immediately. "What's going on?" she asked. "My card isn't working." "It's my card," I said. A pause followed. Then a short laugh. "You're being dramatic," she said. "I needed a few things taken care of."
That's not what the bank calls it. Her tone shifted. Less casual. More familiar. "I raised you," she said. "You act like I took something that wasn't mine." I didn't argue. The call ended without resolution. Another system email arrived minutes later, confirming an appointment for the next day. The subject line read, "Verification call scheduled." No names. No relationships. Just time and instructions. At the bottom, the same line appeared again. "Thank you for helping us maintain secure services." I closed the laptop and stood up. The workday wasn't over, but the next task was clear enough. Family messages kept coming, each one leaning toward compromise. Each one assumed the situation could still be smoothed over. The bank didn't share that optimism. Marcus sent one final note before logging off. We'll need the cardholder and the purchaser present. He wrote, "Please confirm availability." I typed back a single word. Confirmed. The confirmation email arrived seconds later, stamped with the same neutral language as the rest. No acknowledgement of tension, no warning about consequences, just a reminder to be available and on time. I picked up my phone and started clearing notifications, one by one, while the calendar updated itself around the appointment. The message from Marcus arrived before noon. It was brief. One paragraph. No adjectives. The store had security footage. The timestamp matched one of the disputed purchases. The image quality was sufficient to identify the person at the register. He asked if I wanted the frame attached, or if a confirmation would be enough. I didn't ask for the file. A phone call went out instead. My mother answered on the second ring. "You finally decided to talk," she said. "There's footage," I told her. A pause followed, shorter than expected. "So?" she said. "I didn't steal anything." That wasn't the question. She exhaled, the sound practiced. "Yes, I used the card," she said. "It was an emergency." "For a spa?" "Self-care is an emergency," she replied. "You wouldn't understand." The explanation shifted quickly. Stress, sacrifice, years of putting others first. The list came out smoothly, like it had been rehearsed. "I needed a break," she said. "I raised you alone. I gave everything." The word emergency didn't return. "What about the restaurant?" I asked. "I had to eat." "And the boutique?" A laugh cut through the line. "You always focus on details," she said. "That's your problem. You've gotten so cold." The accusation landed where it usually did, somewhere between guilt and expectation. "I didn't think you'd react like this," she continued. "Family doesn't do this to each other." "The bank is asking questions," I said. "Because you called them," she shot back. "You could have handled this with me." The call ended without agreement. No apology came. No offer to repay, just a reminder that I was making something small into something ugly. My phone lit up again 10 minutes later. A relative I rarely spoke to left a voicemail. "She's been through a lot," the message said. "Dragging her into a bank investigation feels extreme." Another text followed from a different number. "Don't blow this up. You'll regret it." No one mentioned the amount. No one asked if the charges were authorized. Marcus sent a calendar invite that afternoon. Official verification call. Names listed. Time locked. The email footer included the same line as before, thanking me for my cooperation and reminding me that transparency benefited all parties involved. The wording didn't bend. I replied to Marcus with a confirmation. He called shortly after. "We'll need both participants present," he said. "The cardholder and the purchaser." "That's fine," I said. "There may be legal implications," he added, not as a warning, but as a fact. "I understand." He didn't ask if I was sure. Family messages grew louder as the afternoon went on. A cousin suggested mediation. An aunt sent a paragraph about forgiveness. Someone else offered to talk to my mother on my behalf. None of them asked what the bank had found. Another message from my mother came through. "You're choosing strangers over blood," it read. I didn't respond. An automated email followed from the bank, confirming the meeting details. It included instructions about being available and having identification ready. The tone stayed courteous. At the bottom, a survey link asked how satisfied I was with the fraud reporting process so far. I closed the email. Work emails piled up, each one routine. A shipment delay, a scheduling change, a request for updated billing information. I handled them in order, forwarding what needed forwarding, adjusting what could be adjusted. The phone rang again. "You're really doing this?" my mother asked. "The bank is," I said. "You're punishing me," she replied. "After everything." "I'm confirming a call." Her voice softened. "I needed help," she said. "You know I wouldn't hurt you." The words didn't match the charges. A final email from Marcus arrived before the end of the day. The subject line read, "Verification appointment confirmed." The message outlined the process step by step. Questions would be standardized, answers recorded, decisions made after review. No mention of relationships. I replied with a simple acknowledgement. Family texts slowed after that, as if the situation had crossed a line they couldn't step back over. The advice stopped. The tone shifted from urgency to discomfort. My calendar refreshed on its own, the appointment now blocking an hour the next morning. A reminder popped up beneath it, suggesting I prepare documents in advance. I set my phone down and returned to work, answering emails that had nothing to do with any of it. The routine helped. Tasks still existed. Deadlines still mattered. Another automated notification arrived before logging off. "Thank you for your continued cooperation. Your account security remains our priority." I accepted the calendar reminder again, watched it turn green, and shut the laptop, already moving on to the next thing that needed doing. The notice arrived early, formatted like every other message from the bank. A case number sat at the top. Below it, a sentence confirmed that a fraud file had been officially opened. All related accounts would remain temporarily restricted during the review. No estimate, no exceptions. By the time the coffee finished brewing, my phone started ringing. The first call went unanswered. The second followed immediately. The third came with a voicemail notification before I could decline it. "Why did you do this?" my mother demanded when I finally picked up. "The bank opened a case," I said. "You didn't have to let it go this far." Her voice carried anger at first, sharp and clipped. It shifted quickly, softened by breathy pauses and a catch that suggested tears. "I can't access anything," she said. "They froze everything. I'm stuck." The wording stood out. Not "I'm sorry," not "I'll pay it back." Just stuck. Calls stacked up from other numbers. An uncle accused me of humiliating her. A cousin said I'd crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. Someone else suggested I should call the bank and explain it was a misunderstanding. Each message treated the freeze as the problem, not the reason for it. Marcus called an hour later. "The review has moved forward," he said. "This means all linked accounts remain on hold until verification is complete." "What happens next?" I asked. "There may be mandatory repayment," he replied, "and the activity could be recorded as confirmed fraud." He didn't pause to see how that landed. "This doesn't move on your schedule," he added. "It moves on ours." Another call came through from my mother while he was still speaking. I silenced it. Marcus continued outlining steps: documentation review, recorded statements, a final determination. The language stayed procedural, stripped of emotion. "If the charges are upheld," he said, "the purchaser will be required to reimburse the full amount." "And if they don't?" I asked. "That will depend on findings," he said. "But the record remains." The call ended with a reminder to remain available. My inbox refreshed seconds later with an automated confirmation. The subject line read, "Verification process update." No names appeared. No mention of family. A reminder followed beneath it, thanking me for my cooperation and noting that protecting account integrity benefited all customers. The system never adjusted its tone. My mother tried again. "You're ruining me," she said. People are asking questions. Who? I asked. My bank, she snapped. Your family. The shift from anger to pleading came fast. I needed help, she said. You know how things have been. What things? I asked. She didn't answer that. Another relative called before lunch, voice tight with judgment. She's not sleeping, he said. Do you really want this on your conscience? Work emails kept coming in parallel. Shipment delays, contract confirmations, a calendar invite for a standing meeting. I handled them as they arrived, forwarding notes, adjusting timelines. My manager messaged asking if everything was still on track. A short yes ended that thread. The phone buzzed again. This could follow her forever, an aunt warned. A fraud record isn't nothing. That's what the bank said, I replied. She didn't call back. An email from Marcus arrived mid-afternoon, attaching a document outlining consumer rights and responsibilities. It included a section on dispute withdrawal, followed by a cautionary note about shared liability. Reading it took less than 5 minutes. The implication lasted longer. Another automated message landed beneath it, reminding me of the scheduled verification call. The subject line stayed neutral. Appointment reminder. No reference to the chaos happening on the other end of the line. My mother left 3 voicemails in an hour. The first was furious. The second trembled. The third turned practical. I can pay you back, she said. Just tell them to stop. There was no mechanism for that. I typed a response to Marcus, confirming availability for the next step. He replied with a brief acknowledgement. Thank you. Please ensure all parties are present. Family texts slowed after that. The advice stopped coming. The tone changed from urgent to uneasy. Late in the day, another system email arrived. It restated the temporary restrictions and included a link to frequently asked questions. One line asked whether the situation had been resolved to my satisfaction. The question felt misplaced. I closed the message and returned to work, updating a spreadsheet that had nothing to do with any of it. The numbers behaved, the formulas worked, tasks moved forward when prompted. A final call from my mother came through just before logging off. You don't have to do this, she said. We can still fix it. The bank already did, I replied. Silence followed. The call started on time. Marcus joined first, voice steady, already moving through protocol. A recorded notice played, explaining that the conversation would be documented. Names were confirmed, roles stated. The system didn't pause for acknowledgement. My mother came on next. This is ridiculous, she said before anyone asked a question. Marcus didn't respond to tone. He moved straight to facts. Ms. Carter, he said, we're reviewing transactions made on your daughter's credit card. We'll be asking standardized questions. Please answer clearly. She sighed. I've already explained this, she said. There was no fraud. Marcus continued anyway. Did you have authorization to use the card? Well, she never said I couldn't, my mother replied. And I was dealing with a lot at the time. The wording landed like it always did. Not permission. Assumption. Dates followed. Amounts. Locations. Each charge read aloud stripped away context. Spa appointment. Boutique purchase. Restaurant bill. That one was dinner, she said. I can't starve. Marcus acknowledged the response and moved on. During the pauses, old habits surfaced without effort. The times she borrowed a little and returned it late. The moments I paid balances to keep things smooth. The unspoken agreement that silence counted as cooperation. That pattern had worked until it didn't. Were you aware the card was reported compromised? Marcus asked. Yes, she said, because Emily overreacted. I reported charges I didn't make, I said. That's the same thing, she shot back. Marcus redirected. Please answer the question as asked. She complied with a clipped yes. The questions kept coming, each one narrower than the last. No space for explanations. No room for family history. My mother tried to fill the gaps anyway. She's always been like this, she said. So rigid. No empathy. That commentary isn't required, Marcus said. He didn't sound annoyed, just efficient. At one point, he asked if she recognized the merchant listed on a receipt. Of course, she said. I was there. The admission hung longer than the silence that followed. A note sounded on the line as Marcus marked something down. The system moved faster after that. She shifted tactics. I raised her, she said. I sacrificed my career. I put everything on hold. That's not part of this review, Marcus replied. I'm not a criminal, she said. No determination has been made, he answered. We're gathering information. The phrasing offered no comfort. When the topic of repayment came up, she deflected again. The bank makes mistakes, she said. You people freeze accounts first and ask questions later. Marcus didn't argue. If the activity is upheld, he said, reimbursement will be required. And if it isn't? She asked. Then the account status will be adjusted accordingly. The exchange stayed balanced. No escalation, no sympathy. The contrast felt sharp. One side leaned on emotion. The other leaned on process. A memory surfaced without warning. A smaller charge years ago. A late payment I covered without comment. A text saying she'd handle it next time. Next time had stretched. Do you understand the implications of this review? Marcus asked her. She hesitated. You're threatening me, she said. I'm informing you, he replied. The call continued like that, question after question. Each answer revealed more by avoiding less. Responsibility stayed just out of reach. At no point did anyone ask for forgiveness. At no point did anyone offer restitution. Near the end, Marcus summarized the information collected. His tone didn't change. Based on what we've documented, he said, this case will move to the next stage of investigation. My mother interrupted. You can't do that, she said. This is family. The process doesn't differentiate, he said. She laughed once, sharp and brief. So that's it? She asked. No solution? The review continues, Marcus said. There are no exceptions. He asked if we had questions. My mother started to speak, then stopped. I didn't add anything. Marcus closed the call by explaining what would happen next. Additional review. Possible outcomes. Timelines determined by the department. The recording notice played again. After the line disconnected, an automated email arrived within minutes. It confirmed the case status and thanked me for participating. The subject line read, Next steps in progress. No mention of raised voices. No acknowledgement of history. My phone buzzed with a message from my mother. You let them talk to me like that? I didn't respond. Work emails filled the gap. A request for updated figures. A reminder about a deadline. I answered both and forwarded a file. Another system message came through, attaching a document titled Consumer Rights During Investigation. The language stayed neutral. The font stayed the same. I added the file to the folder and marked it read. The email arrived while I was reviewing a shipment report. Subject line was plain. Additional findings. No urgency flag. No warning tone. Marcus asked for a call. When he came on the line, he didn't ease into it. There's something you need to be aware of, he said. This activity doesn't appear isolated. He explained without commentary. During the review, the system flagged similar patterns tied to my mother's name. Different cards, different account holders. Same behavior markers. "This isn't the first time," he said. The sentence landed without drama. "What does that mean?" I asked. "It means there's a history," he replied. "Not all cases were formally reported, but the indicators are there." He listed them the way he listed everything else. Overlapping timestamps, merchant types, repeated access through stored credentials. Camera footage from another store matched her again. A digital signature appeared on a receipt tied to a different account. The handwriting analysis came back consistent. The file had grown. "If this review continues," Marcus said, "your mother may be flagged within our system." "For how long?" "That depends," he said. "It could limit access to financial services for an extended period." The implications sat between us. No credit cards, no easy approvals, no quiet resets. Another email followed while we were still on the phone, attaching documentation. The subject line thanked me for my continued cooperation and reminded me that thorough reviews protected the integrity of all accounts. The phrasing stayed cheerful. Marcus didn't pause. "There's something else," he said. "If you withdraw your dispute at this stage, shared liability could apply." "Meaning?" "You could be held partially responsible for the charges," he said. "Given the pattern, that risk increases." The choice narrowed fast. Not a decision about forgiveness, not even about family. A decision about exposure. "I'm telling you this so you're informed," he added. The call ended with the usual reminder to remain available. My mother called minutes later. "They're saying things," she said. "Terrible things." "What things?" I asked. "That I've done this before," she replied. "That's not fair." "They found records." "Records don't tell the whole story," she said. "You know that." Her voice changed mid-sentence, softening into something familiar. "I just needed help," she said. "I didn't think it would go this far." "It already has," I said. She rushed ahead before the line could go silent. "I'll pay everything back," she said. "Every dollar. I swear." "That's not up to me." "It should be," she insisted. "You started this." The framing stayed consistent, cause and effect rearranged to suit the moment. "I won't do it again," she said. "You can tell them that." "I don't speak for the bank." "You can tell them you're dropping it." The word dropping hung there, like this was a subscription that could be canceled. Another call came through from a relative while she was still talking. I let it ring. "They're treating me like a criminal," she said. "You're letting them." "The system is," I replied. Her breathing turned uneven. "I don't know how I'll manage," she said. "Everything's frozen." That was the first time fear showed up without decoration. Emails followed in quick succession, one from the bank outlining potential outcomes, another explaining the appeal process, a third inviting feedback on the clarity of communication so far. The survey link blinked at the bottom of the screen. Family messages returned with new urgency. One cousin suggested I step in before things became permanent. Another warned that financial records lasted longer than grudges. No one mentioned the previous accounts. Marcus sent a follow-up note clarifying timelines. The investigation phase would continue regardless of personal resolution. Findings would be logged. Decisions documented. He included a line stating that attempts to influence the process outside official channels could complicate outcomes. It read like a warning written by someone who had seen this before. My mother called again that night. "I raised you better than this," she said. "You raised me to pay my bills," I replied. She didn't respond right away. "I made mistakes," she said finally. "Everyone does." "The bank isn't reviewing mistakes," I said. Silence stretched. When she spoke again, the tone had changed.
"Please," she said. "I'll do anything."
The word anything carried weight now. Too late, but heavy all the same.
"I promise," she added. "This will never happen again."
The promise arrived after the pattern was documented. Another email from the bank arrived before bedtime. It summarized the additional findings and confirmed the case would proceed. The language stayed clinical. The closing line thanked me for helping maintain secure financial environments. I added the message to the folder and marked it unread, knowing I'd need it again. My phone buzzed once more.
"Just think about it,"
my mother texted.
"You still have time."
I set the phone down and returned to a spreadsheet that needed finishing. Numbers aligned when entered correctly. Cells updated as expected. The system worked whether people liked it or not.
When the screen dimmed from inactivity, a notification popped up, reminding me of the next scheduled step. I tapped Confirm and kept working, the promise still sitting unanswered on the other end of the line. The requests stopped sounding optional. A checklist arrived from the bank with clear deadlines attached. Documents, confirmations, statements, each item numbered, each due by a specific hour. I uploaded everything the same day. Receipts, timestamps, work logs, correspondence. Nothing annotated. Nothing explained beyond what was asked. A follow-up call from Marcus confirmed receipt.
"Thank you," he said. "This completes your portion." That phrasing mattered. Your portion. Messages from family slowed, then thinned. A cousin tried once more, suggesting a private repayment plan. An aunt sent a single sentence about mercy. Neither pushed after I declined. "There's nothing to negotiate," I wrote back. No arguments followed. My mother kept calling.
"I can handle this myself," she said during one of the last conversations. "You don't need to be involved anymore."
"That's between you and the bank," I replied. "You could still make it easier," she said. "I've already done everything they asked." Her next attempt came as a text offering to wire the money directly. "Just tell them it's settled." "They don't work that way." Silence came after that. Not the dramatic kind, the practical kind. Fewer messages, longer gaps. The pressure shifted away from me and toward a system that didn't pause for persuasion. Marcus called later in the week. "The charges have been upheld," he said. "Full reimbursement will be required." "And the record?" I asked. "The activity will be logged as confirmed fraud." He didn't soften the word. "Your account will be restored once the reimbursement clears," he added. A notification followed minutes later confirming the same information in writing. The subject line read, "Resolution update."
The body included dates, amounts, and a brief explanation of next steps. At the bottom, a separate note congratulated me for maintaining responsible account practices and thanked me for my cooperation. The system had decided who it trusted. Family silence stretched across days. Group chats stayed dormant. A few people unfollowed me on social media. No one announced it. No one explained. Work continued without interruption. Meetings happened. Reports went out. A shipment delay required coordination with 3 departments, and that took precedence over everything else for most of the afternoon. Another email from the bank arrived near the end of the week. Reimbursement confirmed. Account access scheduled for restoration. A second message followed immediately after, inviting me to review my credit limit options based on recent activity. The timing felt deliberate. I forwarded the confirmation to accounting, and removed the backup card from the work account. Everything snapped back into place with minimal effort.
My mother called once more that evening. "They're taking everything," she said. "They won't even talk to me." "They will," I replied, "through the process." Her voice rose, then dropped. "You let this happen." "The system did." She didn't argue that point. She asked instead whether the family knew. "They know enough," I said. That was the last call. The bank restored my account the following morning. A banner appeared briefly on the app confirming access had been re-enabled. Under it, a message thanked me for my patience during the review. Another automated note followed, praising my financial responsibility and offering tools to help maintain account health. The praise landed flat. It wasn't meant to feel good. It was meant to close a loop. Marcus sent a final email summarizing the outcome and confirming no further action was required from me. The case would remain on record.
Future contact would go through standard channels. "Please let us know if you need assistance." The email ended. I archived it. Family messages didn't return. No apologies arrived. No confrontations followed. The silence felt earned rather than imposed. At work, a quarterly review meeting ran long. Budget forecasts took more time than expected. A teammate asked if I could take on an extra task next week. "Yes," I said. The calendar adjusted. Deadlines shifted. The routine held. Another notification from the bank popped up that afternoon, inviting me to explore additional features available to long-standing customers with strong histories. The language stayed upbeat. The font stayed the same. I declined the offer and closed the app. Later that night, a text from an unknown number came through. "You didn't have to do this." The confirmation arrived without ceremony. A short email from the bank stated that the reimbursement had cleared in full, $6,300 returned. The fraud record would remain on file. Access to any accounts tied to my name had been permanently removed for Linda Carter. Future contact would go through formal channels only. No congratulations, no sympathy. Just closure. Another message followed with a survey link and a note thanking me for maintaining responsible financial practices. The wording stayed consistent with everything else they had sent. Efficient, polite, finished. I archived both emails and updated my records. Passwords changed. Authorized users reviewed. Alerts adjusted. A second factor added where it hadn't existed before. The process took less than an hour and left no loose ends. Work filled the rest of the day. A shipment reroute needed approval. A vendor pushed back on a timeline. Numbers had to be reconciled before close. The logistics didn't care about family history or bank disputes. Freight still moved, or it didn't. During a break, a notification popped up from the bank app suggesting a higher credit limit based on recent account review. The offer came with a cheerful explanation about trust and stability. I declined it and closed the app. No calls came from my mother. None came from relatives either. The silence didn't feel dramatic. It felt administrative, like a contact list that had been quietly pruned. A message from Marcus arrived before the end of business hours. It confirmed that no further action was required from me and thanked me for cooperating throughout the process. "If you need assistance in the future," he wrote, "our department is available." I replied with a brief acknowledgement and archived the thread. After work, I stopped at a familiar place near the office. The line moved fast. The cashier asked if I wanted the usual. I nodded and paid without checking the screen. The card went through. That small confirmation mattered more than it should have. At a nearby table, two coworkers talked about weekend plans. Someone complained about traffic. Another checked a phone and frowned at a delayed delivery alert. Life continued at its usual pace, unbothered by the fact that a family line had been drawn and sealed. My phone buzzed once. A message from an unknown number read, "She's not doing well." I stared at it long enough to read it twice. No request followed, no accusation, just a statement. I didn't respond. Dinner finished. Trash went in the bin. The receipt stayed folded in my pocket until later, when it joined the others in a stack that now felt orderly again. Back at the apartment, documents were filed where they belonged. The fraud case folder moved to long-term storage. Banking alerts were tested once more. Everything worked the way it was supposed to. A voicemail notification appeared, time-stamped earlier in the day. It was from my mother. I didn't open it. There wasn't a final conversation. No dramatic exchange. No apology waiting on the other end of the line. The bank didn't require one, and neither did I. Forgiveness never came up as a formal decision. Distance did. The next morning followed its usual rhythm. Coffee brewed, work emails queued up, a meeting ran long, a deadline shifted. I adjusted and moved on. During lunch, the bank app sent another notification confirming that account monitoring was active and that any unusual activity would be flagged immediately. The message ended by thanking me again for my diligence. The tone suggested this was a partnership now, one based on rules rather than expectations. After work, I took the long route home, without thinking about it. The path was familiar, not scenic, just efficient. A grocery stop added 10 minutes. The card worked there too. At checkout, the screen asked if I wanted to save the receipt digitally. I tapped yes and watched the confirmation appear. Control returned in small, measurable ways. Later that evening, I opened my calendar and reviewed the week ahead. Meetings, deadlines, errands, nothing unusual, nothing missing. A final email arrived from the bank summarizing the case outcome one last time. It included a PDF receipt, a reference number, and a note stating that the matter was considered closed. No further contact would be necessary. I saved the file, closed the laptop, and stood up to do the next thing on the list. There was no feeling of victory, no sense of loss either. Just a boundary that now existed on paper, enforced by systems that didn't bend when voices rose or tears came out. The situation didn't end with reconciliation. It ended with accuracy. I turned off the lights, set the alarm, and went to bed with the routine intact, knowing exactly where responsibility stopped and where it no longer belonged.